everything was basically hum saath saath hai vibes in Barry House until I was 5 or 6. And then, as is the case with most families, everything goes to shit after a while. So, I grew up in Calcutta, in an area where Muslims, Parsis, Anglo-Indians all lived in the same area near Bow Barracks. And I grew up in this house called Barry House, which had this very typical colonial Calcutta vibe to it. And you know, when you grow up in the same house that your whole khandan has grown up in, you almost feel like that house is a character of its own. So the dampening ceilings and the cracks from where the chipkali just comes and goes as she pleases, I named ours Shalini. The goddamn loudest fans on the high ceilings, everything just feels like it's a part of that character. And Barry House was like that for me. So my earliest memories of Barry House is it was situated in between a temple and a mosque. And I used to very riskily bend over the railings and hear the temple bells and the mosque azan sounds simultaneously. And as is with old houses of that time in Calcutta, the railings led to angans, and angans led to drawing rooms, and the drawing rooms led to a chat from where you could feel the steam of Farzia auntie's chai in the kitchen. I grew up there, and my earliest memories of that is as is with bigger families, it was filled with people. But the main characters for me, and although there were thoroughly entertaining side characters like chachas and mamas, the main characters for me were my parents, my sister, my chacha, and my dada dadi. Now, my dadi used to make this rendition of the Parsi dish called akuri anda. And as is the case with family recipes, we named it our own. So it was called chusti anda. Because subah ko bahut chusti aati hai. It was a dad joke that we took rather seriously. Anyway, it was this big deal in the family. We used to have it from the same bartan, and all of us ate it as kids. Everything was basically hum saath saath hai vibes in Barry House until I was 5 or 6. And then, as is the case with most families, everything goes to shit after a while. So only one son can have a moderately healthy relationship with their father. So the one son is like, hey, can I have your will, your property, your sanity, leftover affection? The dad's like, yeah. And the other's like, can I no. So, I mean, I've always been very moopart. That's 90% of my personality. Now I've made a career out of it. But when you're a child, you see things as a whole. And you're not seeing these relationships break down. So one day I came back from my grand auntie's quarters, 3 bachelorette aunties living in Barry House, just imagine that. And I used to go there every afternoon. I come back one day and my mother looks at me and she says, we can't go there anymore. Ab bas hum 4 hain. My 6-year-old brain couldn't comprehend why the 4 of us have suddenly decided that we don't have a relationship with the rest of the family anymore, with whom I made no memories with after that. My cousin, whom I never got to meet, would come outside our door and say, wo bhoot hai. All festivals spent in explicit tension in different corners of the house. My dada used to walk down the staircase with the same attitude that his black suit possessed, but without any acknowledgement together. No chusti anda was obviously eaten after that together. But I used to eat it with my dad sometimes, but never without a mention of a happier time that he associated with it. Fast forward, 11, 12 years go by. We've moved into this apartment building where everyone seems to have identical flats. And I'm complaining on call to my boyfriend at the time. I'm like, oh God, where's my Angan and Barry House? And I'm speaking to him on speakerphone because my dad's not home and I'm home alone and he doesn't have to get mad about me talking to a boy. And while I still have romantic stability to talk to one. So we're happy. And then my mom calls. I'm like, okay, give me 5 minutes. Because God forbid a teenager's mother decides to talk to her for more than that. I pick up. She says, she's howling. Dada ka dehant ho gaya. Growing up, you collect these ideas of death, like how you're going to deal with it when it finally happens. And when you love someone, you make this like registry book of the memories that you have with them and the fear of losing them one day. And then you open it when you do lose them. I'm thinking, cry, Kareema. This is your grandfather. Unhold. Hi. Yeah, I'm okay. My dada died. I'm thinking he thinks I'm stupid. I'm crazy. Why am I not crying? This is my grandfather. What's wrong with her? I'm forcing my voice to quiver now. I'm okay. Yeah, I'll call you later. I book a cab. Back to Barry House. I didn't even know Olas went there. I go up. I reach up the staircase of my entire childhood, my only identity. I've never called any other home my home. I've lived in about 10 so far. I walk up. I enter the bachelorette auntie's quarters where the funeral is happening. And you know, when you go to a place where you haven't been since you were a child, you feel like that place has shrunk. albeit not that many inches, but I did become bigger, and I noticed that I could reach the kitchen sink without a stool, and the railings were feeling shorter, and then you start noticing things that are similar, like the chusti anda ka bartan that had now faded away a little bit, the dampening walls on the high ceilings, jiska papdi ab nikal raha tha. And then I noticed Farzia auntie making her chai again, her slightly roasted chai. Click, past memory. 10, 12 years ago, Farzia auntie making her chai. My favorite auntie from all three of them sneaks me a spoonful of tea. I'm 3, I'm not supposed to have caffeine, but oh well. Click, present memory. Farzia auntie making tea. Everyone is mourning this time. She serves tea at her brother's funeral. Same cups. Character I see. Unknown lady mourning at a funeral. Looks at me and says between tears, तुम तो बड़े भाई की पोती हो, बिल्कुल उनकी तरह लगती हो. I'm thinking, cry Kareema, you're like him. You must feel something. New character, my cousin. Saira auntie makes me sit down. She's like, this is your Api, which means elder sister. What do we do? Hi, I'm your blood relative, but we don't have a relationship because the adults said, nah. Are we supposed to now mourn over the mutual loss of our grandfather, whom we didn't ever interact with together? And then Saira auntie looks at him and she asks him, तुम दादा के साथ चुस्ती अंडा रोज खाना याद करोगे ना? Drop. I'm crying, my cheeks are wet. मेरे साथ तो कभी चुस्ती अंडा नहीं खाया उन्होंने. Montage scene is going on now. My dada walking down the staircase, aging through the years. We exchange these hesitant but lingering glances, almost like an update, like, hi, I'm older now, but we can't speak. Present moment, no more updates. I realized that my nostalgia that I was feeling for him was a lack of experience backing that nostalgia. So my registry was empty, yes. But I was thinking, what was he like when he ate breakfast? What was he like when he spoke to his grandchild? What was his laughter like when it wasn't muffled noises coming from the floor below us? He was a public speaker. Could he have given me tips today when I spoke of him? We all crave these chusti andas and Farzia auntie's chai while walking down the staircase of our childhood. And that day I did the same. I walked down the staircase with my fatherless father back to our home that he created for us when his was stolen away, and learned to make some scrambled eggs in a hurry.